Do you want to grow your small business? Are you tired of your current job and want to start your own business? If so, I have good news for you. Small Business Marketing Talk Show is a new show design to give new and emerging business owners tips and hints to grow your small business. Renowned authors Dr. Jack McCann and Dr. Daryl Green host an entertaining show that answers your everyday questions. Join them on YouTube at the AGSM Consulting channel. Don't miss it.
Welcome to Small Business Marketing with Drs. Daryl Green and Jack McCann. And we'll be talking about marketing strategies tonight for small business. So our objectives for this presentation are to talk about marketing strategy in general, and we're going to evaluate some of the marketing strategies that are recommended and are common for small businesses. So we'll look at key performance indicators and what are some of the popular key performance indicators for small business, trying to determine whether you're successful or not. So, Dr. Green, what do you believe the role of marketing strategy is in planning?
Well, Dr. Jack, it's just so good to see your smiling face. And so, been involved with small business for a long time, having my own small business, and doing some consulting with small business and having my students do consulting business. I think a lot of times, small businesses get in it, passionate, maybe got a furloughed or laid off and want to do something different. And they just go in there without doing the planning. So when we talk about marketing strategy, it's really planning for success. And a lot of times, companies are reacting and they don't think about it, and so that's just really why marketing strategy, it's a planning, it's a focus, it's direction. And I always tell my students, I always tell my clients, it starts with a vision. What is the vision for the company? What is the mission for the organization? You can't move any further than that. And then once you do that, come up with the systematic process of reaching your target or your intended customers is really what we're trying to do with a marketing strategy. So it's really crucial. It's oftentimes overlooked by emerging and startup companies, but it's really the foundation for being successful in the marketplace.
Yeah, planning is the foundation of success in business in general, and especially for small business. As you said, a lot of people are inexperienced in small business startups and managing businesses, and maybe don't have a formal education in marketing or management, and so they need to start here and build a foundation of planning. The four functions of management are planning, organizing, leading, and controlling. And of course, planning is foundational. Mm-hmm. You organize your resources in place, and you as the entrepreneur or a small business person has to lead the efforts or be the only effort, toward putting together a plan that you can implement at some point in time. And then the control part of that comes into place when you're measuring your results and looking at the key performance indicators you set as your objectives when you started off. So, as you've said, marketing strategy is critical in planning.
And here's Go ahead, Dick. So here's a simple example. So one of the things that I did when I first started publishing, writing books and getting published, is I started doing marketing at conferences, book writers conference. I was doing book marketing training. So a lot of times you get people saying they got to do book, they're very dear. I want to be on Oprah. That's when the Oprah book club was big. I want to be a multi-millionaire. And so this is where the strategy comes in. So who you're trying to reach? Everybody. That's not going to work. What is your price point? How did you determine your price? I just made it up.
Absolutely.
I just waited. I just thought it was a good wait. And you have to, if we talk about the 4 Ps, we talked about the basic marketing, but marketing is really about understanding customer needs and wants. And you have to really understand, like we would know the demographics, the people that we're trying to reach. So they're probably in their, maybe their mid 20s, 25, 26, up to their 60s or 70s, want to do something different. I think that's who would really, this show would really appeal to. People really, if I only had that one other ingredient, I would make it. And so that's what we try to focus on in marketing. So I think a lot of times people get side they take side steps because they really don't understand the fundamentals. And I think the marketing, like we talked about, the marketing strategy is really a critical step that people try to skip.
Excellent.
Dr. Jack, what do you think?
Excellent. I think that we've got to really look beyond just just what we're going to do as far as the startup of the business. We've got to look at how we're going to organize and what our situation entails. What are we looking to accomplish? What's the environment that we're going to operate in? What are we going to do in as far as a business goes? I like to look at Stephen Covey looking at the end from the beginning. So what do you want your business to look like 5 years from now? And then start with that today, and then you're working toward that. And of course, having a good strategic plan or a good business plan is going to be foundational to take to the banks or to the Small Business Administration if you're trying to get money to start your business, right? So the plan is multifunctional. It's your plan in marketing, your plan in for starting a small business is your roadmap to success. A strategic plan or a business plan. The marketing plan is certainly a part of that. Mm-hmm. We're trying to just think about planning in terms of putting it on paper, putting it getting a conceptual idea of where you want to be in the future. So you look at your situation where you're at now and where you want to be, and then after you've developed a plan, you're going to have to implement it. So putting it into writing and making that plan or your strategy a live strategy, and it's something that's not just in stone. It's something that's live and has to change as needed.
Dr. Your experience, do you think most small businesses actually have a written plan or a written strategy?
I would say, Dr. Green, the answer to that would be no. Mm-hmm. And as they say, failing to plan is planning to fail. Mm-hmm. And without that, that's, I think, that and a number of other reasons for failure of small business, is of course lack of capital, but I think the lack of planning is right up there with it, because if you have a good plan, you take into consideration the money that you're going to need, so you won't do a lot of things unless you have a good plan in place.
No, I agree. And we always say, what gets written gets done.
Indeed. Yep. So I couldn't agree more. So let's move on to this slide and look at this. It kind of expands on the role of strategy in marketing and for small business. Some questions entrepreneurs need to consider when thinking about strategy. What are your thoughts on these questions? What would you?
Well, I guess the first one goes back to we talk about the basic marketing principles. So we talk about a product. So you're a seller, and you're trying to sell this widget, and you say this widget has this feature, and you can do a whole lot of things about it. But the goal, we need to focus on value. You say, what is the value of your product or service? So value has to do with benefits. So the example would be the car. You're a car salesman, and you have this car, this vehicle, and you're talking to a single parent, and you're talking to her, and you're saying, well, this car has this amount of horsepower, has these amount of wheels and spoilers and has this kind of voice system, instead of talking about the benefits, the vehicle is safe, it's sound, it's noise reduction, it's good maintenance. Those are the things that we talk about benefits. And so anytime that you're dealing with the seller and the buyer, there's actually a scale and a scale. So from the perception of the buyer, they're saying, am I giving my money worth? And from the perception of the seller, it's saying, how can I get the maximum amount of profit from that buyer? And so it's always a little bit of tension, especially when the price of the product, like a house, a car, those education. Anytime the cost is great, then that tension between the seller and buyer becomes much stronger or much tighter. And so it's behooves the seller to do their homework and to evaluate what value and what benefit is my product or my service providing to that particular buyer or that group of the market. So what do you think? What do you think, Dr. Jack, about that?
I think that's critical. Value is the component that customers are going to consider, all the way from the very, very point that they start the search for the product. Customers start off with the decision-making process, and they're determined they've got a need or a want or a desire, for something to solve their problem or solve their need. And so then they're going to go on the search process, and they're looking for something, that's going to solve that. But they want something that's going to, provide the benefits that they're looking for. But they also want that value. If you're really going to win that customer back, that's where you're going to win them, is giving them more than what they've paid for or asked for.
I agree.
So
I guess the other element, I think, is the positioning, and a lot of people
Yes.
get that confused. And the example I would get, positioning is in the mind
Yes.
of the buyer. They see the company or the product in a certain range. I'd say almost high, medium, and low in terms of how the worth of that particular item or that particular company, and so it changes based on the I guess the quality or the factor. The example I would be McDonald's. So when we start talking about McDonald's, where does McDonald's and its competitors? When we start talking about cost effective, great value, being cheap. McDonald's would be top on the list. You'd have McDonald's, and then I don't know, maybe Sonic's, and then on the bottom would be Chick-fil-A. But when you talk about the quality of the food, then it gets flipped. You got Chick-fil-A, maybe Sonic's, and then you have McDonald's all the way on the bottom. So you have to be very careful in terms of the analysis. We call that a positioning statement or positioning analysis. You gotta do your homework, because you might say, "Hey, we're number one," but the buyer has the final say so on that. What do you say, Dr. Jack, about that?
Absolutely. Companies have to position their products in the minds of the consumer. They have a objective in mind, and they want to say that this product is going to take care of this need in this way. But as you say, the customers are going to ultimately tell you how they're going to use it and what value it is to them. So, companies try to position their brands and their products in the minds of consumers from their perspective. But in today's marketing, we have to learn and communicate with customers and see how it really fits into the marketplace and how it really fits in with the consumers. And then we have to work toward that. If we understand our consumers, before we introduce a new product or do a brand extension, then perhaps we can, do a decent job of positioning. But ultimately, the final say so is in the customer, and we have to learn and develop that positioning. It's just not automatic up front because we say it's this. It's going to change, and we have to adjust, and then continue to upgrade and work on those positioning statements and strategies that we use. But we want our product to be different, and we want it to resonate in the minds of the consumers when they think of, that when they're thirsty, they think of, Kroger purified water or Dasani water, and it's going to do this for them. It's going to quench their thirst at a good price. And so, we want to constantly work on those things and be at the forefront of a consumer's, decision-making process. We want it in the memory of the consumers. We want to try to be forefront in their searches online, as well as, understanding where they can find it.
I agree.
So, looking at differentiation or distinguishing products from the competition, these are important things to think about. Kind of comes from that positioning strategy, but differentiation, to me is really, a matter of comparing your product to another. Mm-hmm. You can even do that in your advertising or promotional efforts, that you're comparing your, bottle of water versus, someone else's bottle of water, and what are the, advantages and disadvantages of those, and the important thing in marketing today is to be honest about it, because, the customers are going to judge, whether you're right or wrong, and no matter what you say about it, it's got to be truthful. It needs to be truthful, the statements you're making in the marketing, efforts that you're doing, and when you're distinguishing, be honest about it. What do you think?
I think that's right. In our early sessions, we talked about the basic marketing, and I think it goes back to we talked about the marketing mix, or the 4 P's of marketing.
Oh yes.
You gotta always go back to we say the fundamentals. Like you playing football, you got to go back to Pee Wee. You got to learn how to block. You got to learn how to the block. You got to learn how to punt. You got to learn all those basic fundamental skills. And so you got to look at the product, and you got to look at that. You got to look at the product, and you got to break that down. And a lot of that is not by itself. You're going to have to use your marketing mix. You're going to, like you talked about, the social media. That's how this distinguishing, and also looking at your pricing, looking at the placement. Do you have it on? Do you sell it online? Do you sell it in a brick and mortar? All the things that separate you from the competition. And we're going to get to this a little bit later, but we're going to be spending a lot of time about competition, because a lot of startups and a lot of small businesses, they ignore the competition. I think that's a fatal mistake. So I guess one of the things I would say as an exercise, everyone is out there, you get a pen. I'm old school. You get a pen and paper, and you write down your product, and I'd say you have a column. You'd have your product, and then you have the product of your competitors. Maybe 1 through 5, and then you put your product down there, and you list. Maybe your product is say it's a Dr. Jack, a soda, or we call it Louisiana soda water, or soda. But you put that down, and you put down what are the qualities, and we talk about the senses. So what does it smell like? Does it smell different? Does it taste different? Does it have texture? Does it have texture? Which I kind of think about orange juice with texture. But does it have all those qualities? Can I smell it? And you put that down and see how you compare. I think a lot of times we don't quantify the analysis, and that's what we're really going to go into more about, little things that you can do. But you want to compare. We call it comparability analysis or competitive analysis. But you want to compare your product, and where you come up strong, you want to accent this. And where you coming in weakness, you need to figure out in terms of your competitors. You wanna be high in the category, and you want to pick. You can't be all things to everyone. So maybe you pick one or two or three things. You say, well, you know what, we're gonna lead the market. We're gonna be not known for this. You know, when they come and they come to our soda, they're gonna look at it, and we have a very attractive bottle packaging, and that is gonna be our how we distinguish ourselves. Dr. Jack, what do you say about that?
It's you hit the nail on the head. You're even before you go into business, and when you're in business, competitive analysis is important, and fundamental analysis is looking internally at your organization, and then you look externally. But the 4 P's are what's where the rubber meets the road. You're comparing your product versus the competition, or who's in that market if you want to enter that market. Then you look at the pricing. Can you be competitive? How much can you make your product for? Then what do you have to sell it for? Then what is everyone else doing? In terms of pricing. You want to cover your costs, but competitive pricing is key.
Yes.
And then
yes.
Where are you going to sell it? The place part of the 4 P's. Mm-hmm. Then how are you going to communicate it or promote it? Mm-hmm. So that's an important piece that you said about doing an analysis on a piece of paper, putting down those 4 P's. What is describe your product, its pricing and placing and promotion, and look at your competitors. What are they doing? What are they saying? And that's a good place to start for a small business or an entrepreneur or somebody that's introducing a new product, or an ongoing business, and you're just wanting to see where you stand in the market. Good.
No, I agree with that, Jack. And I'm old school. Some of you might have you found, okay, this is a 7, so don't throw shade, but using this, because we want you to think. We want you to be innovative. A lot of times you got apps, you got all this other things, but a lot of times just going old school, I think will help some innovation and creative thinking. And that's Absolutely. What we're trying to do.
Absolutely. So we look at strategy and its alignment, and components, which we believe that are foundational to what we're talking about tonight.
Yeah. And Dr.
Go ahead, Dr.
No, Dr. Jack. I just want to kind of say, because I went back to I had a flashback because in working in the graduate school, we talked about these 3 anchors: strategy, structure, and culture. And it's like we talked about strategy, low cost, looking at differentiation, sure. And we talked about niche. Dr. Jack, you want to talk about those the three strategies that we kind of look at when we look at organizations when we do consulting work?
Yeah, we kind of like to borrow Michael Porter, mm-hmm. For a lot of business strategy. Mm-hmm. But this, the beauty of looking at these strategies of Porter are that they apply in marketing and business strategy alike. And those 3 basic strategies. The first one's cost leadership, and you find that every day with a lot of companies use that as their strategy. Walmart is one low cost everyday strategy. Hard to use. You can use low cost strategy for maybe a product line. It's hard to use multiple all 3 of these strategies in your marketing efforts. So most companies will fall in line with one, for a particular product line, or they do it overall as an organization. And so then that's Porter's kind of base strategy, cost leadership. Mm-hmm. And then the next is differentiation strategy.
Hey, Dr. Jack, can you go back to low cost strategy? So what happens? Sure. Like we have a small business. You talked about Porter's, but what happens if I'm starting a bakery business and I'm trying to be the cheapest, and there's like on my street there are like 50 of them on my street. How would the low cost strategy work when you have so much competition? Is it effective or not effective? What do you think?
Well, oftentimes when you've got so much competition, the low cost strategy can be a race to the bottom. Everybody's trying to, and ultimately what you're doing is trying to undercut the next bakery on the opposite corner of yours, and then all you're doing is lowering your costs, and it equals lowering your profits. So if you're not covering your costs and you're not profitable, you're not going to be in business long, and you're not going to run somebody necessarily out of business because you're running low cost. You're more than likely going to run yourself out of business along with the other people you're competing against at low costs. But it is a strategy if you've got some superior advantages versus your competition, things that you can help you keep your costs low. If you've got logistics expertise like Walmart does, their ability to keep inventory low or roll back pricing to their suppliers, all these things have to be considered, and that's where you're looking at your cost to make the product and what are your objectives in terms of making a profit and being able to stay in business.
And Dr. Jack, now I'll give you a perfect example. Being living in Knoxville, Tennessee, the home of Pilot Corporation.
Yes.
I would never forget. There was a price war going on. There was a One Pilot, a gas station, and there was an Exxon station right across the street, and they put the price of gas so low, they ran the company they ran their company out of business.
Right.
So if you, like you said, if you have a superior position, you have the resources, you can do that. But if you don't have the resources, they will, because you can't keep up. I mean, companies take losses. Pilot took losses at that one store, but they were probably making it up at several other stores. But they drove their company out of business, Dr. Jack. Isn't that bad?
That's usually what happens. It's damaging to both companies as a rule. It could be a loss leader and you accept the loss, if you're trying to sell your gas cheaper than others. But at the end of the day, sometimes competition's pretty good, keeps you honest, and it may be better for the market to have multiple businesses, in a particular area. You can't satisfy all the customers. You just want your share and do business with, at a scale that you can handle and meet your objectives. But that cost leadership, something to really be careful with and consider what goes into that. So look at Porter's differentiation strategy, making something different, making your product different, your services different. And today in business, we really look at bundling, and products and services are usually in combination. Mm-hmm. So when we're talking about a product, it's product plus service usually, or at least some level of services anyway. But you want to be different. And, when we talk about products and marketing, we're talking about experiences and ideas, products and services. Some companies, they're very hard to be pure service or pure product. So, they're usually hybrids of all these things. But what you're ultimately trying to do is do things better than your competitors in some way, shape, or form, and differentiate yourself. And, it could be in the product, it could be the features, its functionality, how durable it is. It could be the service element that makes you better than others because you can repair things and keep those products working better than others. So what do you think about differentiation, Dr. Green?
Well, I think it's powerful. I think it's a powerful thing, because I think a lot of times, like, again, if you have a limited, we're talking about a startup, talking about a small business just getting started. A lot of times you're not going to have the capital to compete with other individuals. Right. So you want to distinguish yourself. And the example I would give is McDonald's. McDonald's being a low cost provider, that's their strategy. A differential would be, I guess, some old school. It would be Burger King. Burger King used to be frame broiled. Those, if you're 70 or 80 babies, you would understand it was frame broiled. That was their emphasis that they went with. And so I just think we have to you can do that. You can look again, going back to what Dr. Jack talked about, distinguishing your products. What makes your products different? And that's what you want to leverage on. You want to try to find, and I will never forget that if you go into the mall, there are still malls in America. Yes. But you go into the malls. I think it's Annie's Pretzels. I think right. Annie's Pretzels. You go in there, you can smell. They throw that smell on you. They give you the smell, and I just, you know what they also do to you? They also give you samples.
Oh yeah, perfect.
So that's the perfect differentiation that happens. So they're setting themselves apart, and with the smell, the senses. And I think that's very important to look at that.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's one of those pieces of positioning, and that's comes to life. You're positioning. You're positioning yourself as being different than your competition. So you compare yourself in all these different areas or attributes or benefits that your competitors are providing, and you find something that you do that you have a competitive advantage, and exploit that competitive advantage and differentiate yourself. Have products on store shelves where your competitors don't. Be in locations where they're not. Differentiation being convenient. Convenience stores, those differentiate themselves from just retail outlets. Convenience is a key differentiator versus others. Durability of products, it goes on and on. How do you differentiate yourself, and then how do you position it, and how do you market it to your customers, telling them that story, and truly being different.
Not great.
Is the key. No. Then this final strategy of Porter, there's some variations that Porter has on some of these strategies. He kind of went back and expanded a little bit on, but the niche or focus strategy, this is when you don't want to compete with the big boys, so you're going to go after a particular target customer that nobody else is going after. So you're going after a niche target. It's that customer that's out in the countryside. Most companies are going after those large population centers or those large customer groups. Lots of businesses that are going after those using niche or focus strategies are focusing on those areas the big companies aren't. And that can give you a real advantage because you're taking care of that customer that no one else is paying attention to.
Dr. Jacob, I'll give you. I'm full of examples. I got another example.
All right.
So, right now, as of this taping, across the country, we're dealing with COVID. There's a rise across the United States. All states are being impacted. So a niche. So, people are kind of reluctant to have people come to their house and go out and do things. And my car was pretty dirty. I mean, inside just bad. And so I could have went to a car wash or maybe a detail company. There was this company that was online. Again, the 4 P's of marketing promotions. They were online, and they're a mobile detailing shop. And so the guy came to my house, and he did both of my cars, took a credit card, and it was so convenient. He has a niche. He does the outside, exterior, interior, and he does a lot of things. So he has a niche. And so he's not competing with the high price places that are brick and mortar. He's mobile, so he's built a niche. And I think if you're a small business, you got to count on that side. Like you have these food trucks.
Oh yeah.
They can't compete. They can't compete with Cheddar's or some of the established restaurants. And so they have these mobile food trucks that I think it's a game changer.
Absolutely.
What do you think?
Absolutely. They're going and serving markets that others aren't willing to serve, doing things that other people aren't willing to do. That's what that's what the entrepreneur spirit's all about, is finding a need that's not being served in the market. And that's what you do. And that's what this strategy is all about. You could call this the entrepreneurial strategy. If you wanted to, you could say entrepreneurs are the ones that follow this. They're going, they're not going after the mainstream. They're going after something and offering something that's different, something that's unique. So all too important. So these strategies are critical business strategies or marketing strategies, combination of those things. And it all, boils down to, using, aligning the strategy, the structure of the company that you put together, and also, developing a culture that is willing to, adopt and be flexible with the use of these strategies. So always important to learn those strategies, learning about, Michael Porter and those things. It's not highbrow, strategies that are not useful. These are practical strategies. It's not, we're not teaching a college class here on strategy. This is what people use every day, and that's what we want to focus on in our lectures here, our conversations are about talking about things that work and that are useful to business people.
Dr. Jack, I would say in a digital economy, my opinion would be, I would spend a lot of time on building me a niche.
Oh, yeah.
I don't want to compete with Walmart. I don't want to compete with Amazon, but I want to do my own thing. Define to be successful, I need 25,000 customers, and it's going to be online, and it's going to be online, and I'm going to sell this widget, and I'm going to promote it, and and I got a good price point for it, and I'm happy. And I think most people need to. I think that's what the future is niche. And what do you think with the coronavirus, globalization, and layoffs? What do you think the strategy is going to be focused? The successful companies are going to have to do, Dr.
They are going to have to focus on unique target audiences, but you got to set reasonable objectives, considering the environment that we're in now today. And I think a successful strategy is going to have to use multiple channels of selling. A company's going to have to use online. They're going to have to use a brick and mortar, face to face, or working through and with suppliers and selling to other businesses. But you're going to have to come up with a lot of different ways and to serve target customers. But ultimately, that differentiation is it can be the way you sell your product or deliver to your customers, or the products that you make are better and satisfy your customers better than others. So I think the key is here and finding how to serve a particular target customer, doing something that you like to do and that people need. Fulfilling that need and doing things that other people don't do, and doing it, and doing something better than others is where it's at. And using technologies to reach those customers is going to be something that we all need to do, because more and more business today with coronavirus is going online. People, whatever you can do to come up with strategies, just as you mentioned with your car detailer. It doesn't necessarily have to be online. You find something you like to do, or you're able to do and do it well, then you can get the word out there in the community, and you can hand out, you can go by and hand out business cards, or post put your Facebook company, put your company on Facebook and advertise to a particular zip code, and you serve that zip code as best you can with something that you do and something that's needed.
I agree, Dr. Jack. I agree. I think so. This is why the marketing strategy, this episode is very important. You need to be watching this several times. You need to be sharing this with your friends, because this is one of the key things that's going to make you a winner and not a loser. Okay, so that is very important.
So, we key performance indicators, setting goals, for a business is important. You're always wanting to, set those reasonable objectives, things that you can accomplish. And so small businesses and large businesses want to, you want to set goals and set benchmarks, and with strategies, that's what you're planning to accomplish. You're trying to, ultimately you want to make some money. That's what you're trying to do, and starting a business or maybe a side hustle or a side gig, you're trying to make some extra money. You don't want to, or maybe you want to work for yourself. You want to do something, but you've got to set goals to be able to reach them. Stretch goals are great. A lot of companies use key performance indicators to see how well they're doing. So, Dr. Green,
So
tracking progress.
yeah, so when we're talking about I say KPIs, key performance indicators, we could also call it marketing metrics. Is how do you measure success? What does success look like? And I have a book in my office. It's this thick. It's about 500 pages. It has tons of indicators that you can measure. So for most small businesses like us, we look at revenue. How much revenue are we generating? So that's one indicator. Then we talk about revenue, but revenue in itself, you can still be going broke. So revenue minus your costs, we're looking at profit. So profit is another indicator. So if I have a brick and mortar company, I might want to know how many leads do I have? How many leads, how many people coming into the store? There's a whole litany. And here's a key thing, Dr. Jack and audience, can you see me? Here's a key thing. You need to have your key performance indicators match what your marketing strategy is. So it should be based on what you're trying to do. So if you're not doing anything online, why are you looking at website visitors? And so that's why I think you have to be very deliberate. But I'm gonna be biased, Dr. Jack, a little bit, because I love digital marketing, social media platforms like Facebook, Instagram, even LinkedIn, because I can measure results and I can track it easily. So that is my case. So those are some. I love Google. Google is another one of those things. Bing, Yahoo, any of those things that you can track, I am a fan of, because tracking is very important. If you want results, then you need to be tracking. You need to be tracking whatever you want to deal with.
Yeah, measuring. You got to measure what's important, and so setting objectives and then measuring them, and then constantly modifying and working on those, and trying to find the things that are most important for your, whether your marketing is working, whether you're communicating to the right customers, or people are using your products differently than what you expected. You've got to learn. You've got to be a learning organization.
Yes.
You set objectives and you may change them, but ultimately what your objectives are is to be successful. And so you've got to find the things that are important to help you get there. And then, we flip back to these objectives here. The things that we were trying to cover tonight, we're looking at marketing strategy. We looked at, 3 key strategies, and we're kind of closing out here with those key performance indicators for small business. But, businesses have to be good at planning and implementation, and they have to organize well, be a good organizer. They have to lead their strategies, and control. And the controlling part is those key performance indicators or measurements that we have to use. So we set objectives in our strategies, and then we measure them, and then we make adjustments. And we're always continually trying to improve what we do in business.
Oh, so. Yes. Oh, yes. But Dr. Jack, I feel like I need to go give me a Big Mac or something, because we talk about food.
Well, just wait for a few weeks. I think McDonald's going to start coming out with plant-based. Have you heard that? Plant-based burgers and chicken. Oh yeah, they're going to come out with a new product. You talk about innovative. There's a company that's generations old, but they're constantly trying to modify what they do. And here's a plant-based, a choice. It's going to give it. A lot of people are looking for that product, so they're willing to change.
Yeah.
So we all have to be willing to change our approach, don't we? And use that entrepreneurial mindset.
I agree. I'll pass on that one though, Dr. Jack.
I know, me too. It doesn't meet with my taste. All right.
Well, good deal. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you all.